Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. And yeah, we're hanging all right. We are hanging. We're playing some Dark Souls, 'cause why not? I don't know. Just kind of it's just a go-to default game, isn't it? I'll never really play it for like hours and hours, but I can always just, okay, I'll just play a little Dark Souls. Good, done. Yeah. So, let's see. Some of you may be wondering why there was no Mangcast this week. Some of you may not have noticed, but I'll explain it either way. So, let's see. Friday evening, I did a stream of Rainbow Six Siege of the beta. I did that for a little while, and then afterwards, I guess apparently I wasn't going out, so I was like, okay, I have this new computer sitting here that was given to me for free, and so I thought about switching over to that. It was originally just going to be, I'm going to take this new computer and just put my current video card in because it's better, and then just, alright, good, done. So I kind of take my computer out and I kind of futz with it, and I was like, okay, this video card that I currently have, the GeForce 750 something, is too big to fit into this tiny case for this new computer. So after that began kind of a very long, well, not very long, I guess, but a lengthy ordeal of trying to figure out the best way to upgrade my current setup with this new thing, and then after that, like, my heatsink on my current computer broke, and like, because it's really annoying, it has just, it's, for anyone that knows, it's like the freaking Intel bullshit where it's just these 4 button tabs you have to kind of push in, and it's just really lame, and that broke. And we tried to find another heatsink to replace it, but we didn't have one, so I was like, alright, I guess tomorrow I'll just have to go out and pick up a new heatsink. And so Friday night I just kind of sat there, I plugged in my iPad to my TV, and I was just watching YouTube stuff while I played Bloodborne. It was just like, okay, whatever. Then Saturday I went out, I picked up a new heatsink, and then we get back, and we put the new heatsink on and everything, and then I plugged the computer back in as it was with just the new heatsink, and okay, now it doesn't turn on. So me and my brother, we had to go through everything. Eventually we just had the motherboard sitting on a cardboard box with no RAM, no video card, no heatsink on. Nothing, just the processor and the motherboard, trying to see if it turned on. And we thought it was discharging, but after, we did that, there's no discharge happening, so I guess we concluded that the motherboard was fried. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, so apparently I fried my motherboard, but luckily we have this new computer that has a motherboard and a better processor. So basically I swapped the guts out of the new computer, put it into my old case. And basically, the net result of the weekend was a lot of headaches, about $25 spent, and a reformatted hard drive in order to get a cleaned out case, a somewhat better processor, and 2 gigs less RAM. That was basically the net equation. Which, I mean, I'm okay with it. I wouldn't do it again. It was a lot of work. Well, it wasn't even that much work. It was just kind of like, ugh. I really just do not like working on computers at all. It's one of my least favorite things to do. I mean, I definitely can work on computers. It's not like I'm like a complete dumbass. I'm a somewhat dumbass, but I can do it. I can build a computer, but I really just hate it. I just don't care for it. Like, I don't want computers to be just sitting there turned off and just gutted open and just like, ugh, I just want computers to be running in front of me playing episodes of Seinfeld. That's what I want computers to be doing. So when I worked at a computer store, all I did was ever sell them. I was offered a job in service to fix people's computers, but I was like, hell no. Get that shit away from me. Yeah, so that was a lot of hassle, and I did have to reformat my hard drive because it was a different motherboard and all that. It just didn't work, so I had 2 hard drives, so it wasn't a huge deal. The only thing that was majorly affected was I lost my Deus Ex save. Because Steam saves some shit on the cloud, but not every game is saved to the cloud. So Shadowrun Returns, I did record that episode, the newest episode, yesterday, so that was fine. But yeah, Deus Ex was lost, which could have spelt the end of the run. However, cheats apparently do exist, so I did go ahead and I activated cheats for that. And basically, I'm probably a bit more well off than I was. But I am at the same start of the same level, with pretty much the same equipment and pretty much the same skills. I tried to do it from memory, maybe slightly better skills, and I had all the augmentations, but you either have to like enter them manually or you just do all augs, which gives you all the augments, but they're fully upgraded. So all of my augments are fully upgraded, which really didn't make much of a difference because the only one I really ever use is health, and that was already upgraded. And so it was either that or just kind of like, you know, quit. So it doesn't, I don't think it'll affect things too much. I was already pretty powerful. So yeah, it was a headache. It was a headache. Like that just bothers me when my computer's not working. I don't see it as like a challenge or anything, like a fun task. It's just like, god damn it, let it be over. I just want my shit working and done. And so it's like, okay, well, thankfully I had this other computer here, otherwise it'd be really screwed. Except, if I didn't have that other computer, I wouldn't have opened up my computer and it would have been the same, so yeah. Thanks for nothing, Republic of Gamers. Anyways. So yeah, that's why there wasn't a Mangcast yesterday. It was because by the time I got everything working and, you know, Windows reinstalled and everything set back up, it was late and I was just sick of this shit. I just wanted to do nothing. And I don't think there was really that much big news for the week anyways, so I don't think it was a huge deal. Damn it. So yeah, we'll be back with the Mangcast next week with a vengeance. We also, what else did we do this week? We did, I know we did Deus Ex and Shadowrun. We did some streams, so we got the YouTube live gaming streams things going on now. That's cool. It's very cool. You'll probably be seeing more of those, and I like that it just automatically archives it, so I don't have to really do much to it. And I will mark all those videos as stream, so that you know what's going on. The only issue with the archive is, like, you don't get to see chat. I could do like a chat overlay, so I overlay the chat directly onto the video. I might do that, we'll see. I don't have a very active chat anyways, so. Yeah, I really suck. Also, the flamberge is ass. I don't know why this weapon exists. It's absolutely terrible. Anyways, we had roll manging, and we will have roll manging again tonight. Very excited about that. Tomorrow, I would probably expect the BattleCon video. I did record most of the footage for that, the rules and things like that. So I just have to put it together. So that'll probably be tomorrow, so we make it in the September deadline. And then, yeah, I really want to finish up Shadowrun. Well, I'm almost positive I will finish Shadowrun this week. Deus Ex, that will probably be a little bit longer. That's going to bleed into October, I think, for a little bit, which is unfortunate, but it is a lengthy... It's lengthier than I thought it would be. I'll say that. And yeah, then we go into October and the horror stuff begins. As I mentioned, I think on the streams, but for those that didn't watch it, I did get a request from Einar, however it's pronounced, a Patreon backer who requested Deus Ex, and since Deus Ex is going to be ending, his October request, I guess, is for me to play Soma, which is a relatively new horror game from the guys that made Amnesia. And it's pretty much the stuff of nightmares. I'm not looking forward to it, but that's what October's all about, is things you're not looking forward to. I guess. I'm sure it'll be okay. I'm not going to beat the whole game, because that's not... I don't want to, and I have enough horror things to do. So yeah. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to... No, I don't think so. So yeah, board games was relatively light this week. I played a bit of Agricola, Creatures Big and Small, and BattleCon with my mom, and then Wednesday we had our other board game night, and we had 5 people. We wanted to play a new game that none of us had played before, and so I finally got to bust out Nothing Personal, which is the game designed by Tom Vassell, Steve Avery. Been looking forward to playing it for a while now, and I finally did. And it took us about 3 hours, give or take. That was with rules explanations and, you know, 5 people playing for the first time. So I imagine it'll get down to 2 hours or less. And so Nothing Personal is... It's a negotiation game, I guess. There is negotiation involved, but I wouldn't say that's really the focus of it. Like, the core mechanic is basically playing influence cards in order to put influence tokens onto different other cards. Like, that's basically the core mechanic. Everything else is kind of just... You're going to be doing this alongside it to get what you want, usually. So it's very gangster themed. Like, you have, everything is very gangster themed, and it's very thematic. You have the different ranks of gangsters. You have the capo, and the underboss, and the bean counter, and the racketeer, the enforcer, and all these positions. And all the gangsters in the game have very movie gangster names and stuff. Just like any character from Goodfellas, just kind of picture that kind of name. And yeah, it is very thematic, and I don't love the gangster theme in general in life, but it's well done, I guess, in the game. It fits. I don't think any other theme would really work as well, and yeah, so that's good. But the actual gameplay, I like it. I like it quite a bit. It didn't like automatically just shoot up to, you know, top 3 or anything like that. It has definite potential, and I'd love to play it again. But it was definitely a learning game. We only played it once because it took 3 hours. So I don't know how much I want to go into kind of the mechanics of the game, but like I said, you're going to be playing these influence cards to put your influence markers on different gangsters. And each gangster, every round you're going to go through, and they're going to give you different respect, which is basically victory points, but they're also going to give you money, which is used for various things like bribing other players or spending it on cards and actions and stuff like that. So money is important, but respect is victory points, so you want that as well. And you're going to be drawing influence cards based on how many gangsters you control every round. So you don't want to control, you know, like we said, you basically want to either control 0, so you get the most amount of cards every round, or like 5, so you get a lot of stuff. And that's tricky, and you know, you have other people that are all vying for the same thing. You know, they're all vying for a lot of control and the same objective as you are, and so there's, you know, the game is called Nothing Personal, which is a little ironic because pretty much it's all going to feel personal. Jesus, that's really shitty. It's all going to feel pretty personal. It is not a game for a group that takes, you know, that kind of holds grudges. It's a game. So luckily our group, I think, is pretty okay with that. And it allows for some pretty interesting and funny interactions. Like, I had a blackmail token on one of the gangsters, which means that whoever controls that gangster, when we go around and do actions for that, for each gangster, when it comes to that one, the player that controls it can only do an action if I allow it, because I have a blackmail token there. And so the gangster was in the bean counter position, so a possible action for that gangster that round was to steal $3 from any player. And so I had kind of control on whether or not my friend could do this action or not. I had the final say. So he wanted to steal from one of my other friends, and I'm like, you know, he's going to steal $3 from you. If you give me $2, I will say that he can't do it. And so he's like, all right, because, you know, he saves a buck by doing so. So I take $2 from him, and I'm like, all right, pick somebody else. And I could, like, no deal in the game is binding, so I could have very easily said, all right, steal from him. But that's a real dickish move, and everybody's going to have a chance to kind of screw over something. Like, people are going to remember if you screwed them over or not. So I was like, all right, pick somebody else. And I could have kept on going and just extorted everybody like that, but eventually I was going to screw somebody over, so. But that was pretty funny. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, so it was fun. I mean, 3 hours is a little long for a game like that, so hopefully next time we can trim it down, because, you know, 5 people all playing something like, and it's not a simple game, I'll say that. There is stuff to learn. Like, I would never bring it to a family game night, I guess. But it was fun, and I'd like to play it again. I did not win. I got 3rd place. And the final round was really kind of weird, because it was very king-making. Like, it was the first 2 players were pretty much close to being tied. And so, like, it was kind of like, okay, who do we want to win? You know, it was like the other 3 of us were really, like, you have kind of control, you have a bit of say in, you know, helping other players or not. And so it's kind of like, you know, do we just sit this one out and just see what happens, or, you know, what? And so if the three of us, like, what it finally came down, there was some miraculous rolls, like, there was some crazy-ass dice rolls, and there was some really just nuts stuff that happened, and finally what it came down to it, if the three of us pooled our resources together, we could have influenced one person to win over the other just by our actions, but we decided to just sit it out and just let the game decide who wins. And so the two players did have a tied score, and so there is tie breaks. Basically, whoever has the highest ranking gangster under their control. And so that wasn't like, there's like, you know, Capo was ranked 9, then there's 8, all the way down to 1. And so we had to check it all the way down. It was like the 5th gangster or something finally broke the tie and set the game. So it was an intense tiebreaker, and it kind of dragged on because people get kind of, you know, finicky about winning the game. So it's personal. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I would definitely play it again. I don't know when that'll be, but I would like to. Today we did not play anything. We did not have a board game day, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, it was fairly light for games. Yeah. Not much else to say. So, well, Tuesday. No, did I see anything Tuesday? Yes, I saw the Maze Runner on Tuesday. And I was going to talk about this on the Mangcast, but I'll just talk about it here. So the Maze Runner, the sequel, the Scorched Trials. I've not read any of the books, and I never will. But I did see the first one once in theaters, just because people in my family were going to the bistro to see it, and I was like, alright, whatever. It's a bistro. How bad could it be? It's not like a love romance movie or nonsense. It's like an action adventure type movie. How bad could it be? And it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't exceptional, but I didn't hate it. And of course, so then, just like Hunger Games, where I saw the first one, I have to see every other one, I went to see the sequel. And I chose to see this the same night that all of my friends were going to see Black Mass at the same theater. I decided to see Maze Runner instead. And I chose it because, like I said, I don't really like gangster stuff. Like, I like Goodfellas, I guess, but that's kind of where I draw the line. I watched Casino, and that movie was shit. And Johnny Depp kind of weirds me out, so yeah, no. I just wanted a nice, simple action adventure teen movie, whatever. I know it won't be that shitty. Whereas Black Mass is going to be kind of weird, because Johnny Depp is weird. And yeah, it was decent. It definitely was not bad. I was not offended or like, man, this sucks or anything like that. It was alright, and the meal was good, and it was like, alright, fine, whatever. And, like, watching a movie like this, like, I can't talk about this stuff with any other member of my family. Like, any member of my family, I just can't discuss it, just because they... Like, my aunt thought Fantastic Four was great. And my family thought Interstellar was really boring. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, they're a completely different class of movie viewers. Like, I just can't explain things to them. Or they think Hunger Games is like a really original concept. You know, it's just like, no. And so the Maze Runner, the Scorch Trials, it was really interesting to watch because basically every single scene and plot point was taken from something else. Like, there was nothing original about this movie at all, anywhere. At all. At all. It was all from something. You could tell. If you've experienced a lot of movies, games, books, or whatever, you've seen all this shit. So that wasn't great. But this movie was, like, a bunch of it was basically the movie version of Spec Ops: The Line and The Last of Us. Like, a good chunk of the movie takes place in basically like a city taken over by a desert. Like literally, they go into like buildings that where the sand dunes have just like, you know, come into the building. And there's sandstorms and there's sand everywhere, and it's Spec Ops: The Line. Like, they had to see something from that game when they designed the movie. That was really crazy. And the main creatures or enemies or whatever in this movie, other than human beings, were zombies. Like, no joke. Not beating around the bush. They were I mean, they were like infected, I guess. That's the new thing. It's, you don't really have zombies that often. They're like rage zombie infected. And like the creatures from the first movie in the maze were like, I don't even remember because I only watched the movie once, but they were not zombie. They were like cool robot alien things that had like tentacles and shit, and they were awesome. Like, they were the best part of the first movie, was like the creatures from that. And so then they switch it. They're like, nah, those aren't... God damn it. Fucking Ornstein and Smo. They were like, yeah, I mean, those things were cool, but why have that when we can have zombies? And that was kind of a disappointment, I guess, because I wanted to see more of the stuff from the first movie, but they're not in here at all. Like, they're not in the movie. The cool things from the first one, they're not in the second one at all. It's just zombies. And so when they first came out, I didn't really think about it, but at one point in the movie, they're like in the sewers. Or they're in like this sewer system, just a couple of them. They're in like the sewer system. And they come up to like these weird kind of growths on the wall. Like plant growths on the walls. And they're kind of like inspecting it. And they like encounter this rat or something that's running around. And the rat suddenly just gets like grabbed by this hand. And this infected thing just pops like out of the grass wall. Like, it was attached to this grass leafy wall. Fungus, you might say. And it eats the rat. And then you start hearing all these screeching sounds coming from these infected that are covered in like these fungal growths, and they start chasing after them. And like, if you've played Last of Us, I could have just been describing a scene from The Last of Us, and that's what they look like. They were all screeching, and they all had like fungal growths on their faces and bodies, and they were chasing after them, and it was The Last of Us. So yeah, if you just take The Last of Us and put it into Spec Ops, you have a tiny part of what that movie was. Now, that may sound really awesome, but it wasn't. Yeah, like, the movie wasn't really awesome. It was okay. I might watch it again someday, but yeah. What I'm describing sounds a lot cooler. Anyways, it was okay, I guess. like kids, like the teenagers in these movies tend to be a bit too pansy for me. Like, they never really, like, punch anybody in the throat or anything like that. They're always just talking about their problems and shit. It's like, come on, get your acts together. I digress. So yeah, next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday in a couple days, well, the Green Inferno just came out. This weapon sucks, I can't use this. Green Inferno just came out, which is Eli Roth's kind of love letter to the cannibal subgenre of horror movies. Perhaps most famously demonstrated in Cannibal Holocaust. That's just a waste of time. I'm just running this this stretch back and forth for this episode. So yeah, I've actually never seen Cannibal Holocaust, and some of you may have never heard of it. I'm sure you're Googling furiously right now. Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust was a rather infamous movie from the 70s. I think, if I remember correctly. It sounds about right. Like, the director was arrested because people thought he made a snuff film because it was so kind of realistic at the time, and it caused a big hubbub. It was banned all over the place, and it pretty much just featured, it was kind of, you know, like you would describe kind of a modern horror movie. It, you know, had just footage, found footage, I guess, of a group of people going into a rainforest or wherever they are, some remote location to study some indigenous tribe, and they find out they're cannibals, and they get kind of caught up in that, and they all end up dying. I don't know how the footage was found, because I've never seen the movie. And so far, kind of ho-hum, Mangg, why haven't you seen this? Well, for one, I don't really like watching movies from the 70s, because they're just kind of meh. Like, I don't think it'll be that exciting to watch. But the real reason, the main reason I don't want to see this movie is because, well, the director did not actually kill people, and he did not actually make a snuff film for this thing. He did actually show real animals being killed. Like, actual living animals were killed on film for the making of the movie. Because he just had like indigenous people, and he's like, oh, here, you know, make dinner, and they're like, all right, here's what we do. We just take this turtle we just cut off, you know, we just caught, and we just rip off its shell, and we kind of harvest its organs, and there you go. And it's like, my God. And it's like, okay, you know, I understand people all over the world do many things that I find, you know, kind of repulsive and don't want to see. And that's fine, they can keep on keeping on, but I don't want to watch a movie where it happens. It's not just a turtle. They killed other animals. The turtle just sounded the most repulsive to me, because it's like, it's a turtle. I don't want to see its shell ripped off. I watched Franklin. I guess they kill like a tarantula, which I don't care. Kill all the tarantulas you want. They don't have souls. Maybe turtles don't have souls either, but damn it, Franklin seemed like he had a soul. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just one of those weird kind of American sensibilities where it's like, yeah, I don't care if you have people getting cannibalized and put on spikes and shit like that and tortured, whatever, but killing a turtle? My God, you monsters! Arrest that man! Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. And I doubt it would be a very entertaining movie to watch as it is, so yeah. But, Eli Roth, however, putting out a cannibal movie in the modern age, that kind of fixes my two issues with it, because it's modern times. I don't have to deal with 70s camera shit. And I doubt Eli Roth killed live animals, so I think we're okay. So yeah, I thought there was no way I could convince anyone to see a Green Inferno. You know, Eli Roth's cannibal horror movie. No way. But apparently, yes, I do have people wanting, well, not wanting, but willing to see it. I don't know how. I don't know what convinced them. Maybe they're drugged, but yeah, they're I guess gonna go gonna go. So yeah, I'll have a report for the next maincast on how the Green Inferno was. As long as Eli Roth isn't really in the movie, I don't think it'll be that terrible. Because I saw that, I described that earthquake horror movie that he was in, and that was not up to par, Mr. Roth. Anyways, so Thursday, you know what I'm going to say. We went to Applebee's. And, my friend's cousin, joined us. My friend's, female cousin, I should say. I should clarify. This girl went to my high school for about a year. And then she like got expelled or I don't know the story. I don't know the story, but she was only there for a year and then she went on. And I want to say I've mentioned her before, but I'm not sure because that might have been the last time I saw her. Might have been before I started hanging with Mangg. I think that was like last June. So anyways, this girl is pretty much, picture like the slutty, popular, somewhat trashy chick from any high school in America. That's pretty much this girl. You know, kind of early bloomer, popular with the gentlemen, and kind of like, not, kind of the opposite of the prom queen. Kind of the one that'll smoke dope with you and swear up a storm and doesn't give a shit and listens to brand new, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, she was quite popular. And so this is the girl that's hanging out with us tonight. And so she like I had seen her last year, but I think she had let herself go even a little bit since then. Let herself go quite a bit from way back in the day. Not model material anymore, but still, you know, pretty attractive. And so I had always kind of, you know, just dismissed this chick as like this is a party girl, you know. This is what I'm trying to describe. Like, this girl has not lived like a clean, civilized life. And so I was somewhat shocked then by my experience with her at Applebee's. Jesus Christ, man. I may never defeat Ornstein and Smo again. My one friend, he got arrested the previous week. It was like last Friday. I had not gone out with them that night. And he got arrested for basically driving into oncoming traffic. Like, he was trying to explain it, and from what he said, like, it was a mistake he probably would have made sober, just kind of exacerbated by the fact that he was drunk. He made a left turn where he thought he was able to make a left turn, but really it was a left turn into the wrong side of the street. And luckily the street was pretty clear. There wasn't any oncoming traffic except for one car, which was a police vehicle. So, yeah, he was in quite a bit of trouble, and he got arrested. And this was at like 2 a.m. or, you know, this was after bars closed. And that night, around like 2:50 or so, I get a phone call from him. Keep in mind, I did not go out with them that night. And I was just like, I was getting ready to go to bed. And I don't think I've ever gotten a phone call from him before. Like, I've been friends with him for, like, a year and a half now or so. I've never once gotten a phone call from him. So I get a phone call from him at 2:45 on a Friday night. I think a lot of people probably would have answered it. I don't know. I think most people would have answered it, but I didn't. And I don't know if I can really defend myself. I mean, I feel somewhat bad about it, because this was the phone call to pick him up from the police station. I didn't know that at the time, but that's what it was. He was calling for someone to pick him up from the police station. I was the second person he called. Again, it's like 2:50. You're waking up most people if they do answer. I happen to be awake and sitting there looking at my phone. I guess what I thought, I think I actually thought, oh, it's like a drunk, he's drunk dialing me or something like that. Like, he doesn't ever call me. This is bullshit. Like, I don't think it even factored into my head that he would ever get arrested. Because that just seems so ridiculous to me. Like, people get arrested all the time. But it's never really happened as part of our group, because generally we're somewhat law-abiding. I mean, yeah, they all drink and drive, but I guess. I don't know. So maybe I thought it, like, I don't think I thought arresting or anything like that had entered into my head. Because I feel if I got arrested, he would be pretty far down on my list of people to call. But I'm pretty close with my family. Like, I would absolutely call my parents. Like, that would absolutely be, unless they were out of town, I guess. That happens. But I would then call my brother. Or, my sister, somebody. I'm pretty close with my family. He, on the other hand, has yet to tell his parents he was arrested. So I guess that explains that. So I guess I thought, okay, he's either drunk dialing me, or probably in my subconscious, I thought there's no good phone call randomly at that time. Like, it's either going to be a drunk dial or something worse that I don't want to get involved in because I'm going to bed soon. And so maybe that's dickish of me. But on the other hand, maybe you shouldn't be driving drunk into oncoming traffic. Which perhaps is a bit judgmental of me, but I mean, okay, sorry. People make mistakes, I know, and it's not like, I'm done being friends with you, you louse. But, I feel somewhat bad for not answering, but on the other hand, I'm glad I didn't have to go to the police station and pick him up at 3 a.m. So sue me. He did get picked up by the third person he called, who had to drive like a half an hour to pick him up, but it would have been like a 5-minute drive for me. But I digress. So anyways, that kind of got brought, and actually that campfire I went to last Saturday with his coworkers or whatever, I kept on like bugging him about it. Because I was like, why did you call me? And what happened last night? Where's your car? But, I kept on inquiring about it. Because I'm a very curious person. I want to know. But he didn't want to talk about it in front of his coworkers. And I couldn't figure out, why he was beating around the bush. Until this last Thursday when I finally heard the whole story. I mean, I guess I knew it was something pretty, shady. But you invite a few of your coworkers to a cookout and campfire with all of your friends. Like, I assume they must be pretty close to you. But I guess if you're that sheepish about, your criminal activity, maybe, but I don't know. Again, I work with my family. I'm used to kind of just saying everything. So anyway, so that was the topic of discussion Thursday night. And so this chick suddenly just starts spouting out some lawyer-level knowledge about his situation. Like, she told him exactly what to do, like how effed he was, what his options were for like reducing the points and, you know, like the suspensions and like who to call. And it was somewhat astounding. I'll be honest. She knew her shit, and you know, most of it was from experience, you know. Most of it was from her own arrests and things like that. But a lot of people would not like catalog this information, be able to just spill it out like that. Like, she knew her stuff, and it was very impressive. And so I was like, I would trust her. Like, yes, I would believe everything she said, because I didn't know anything. What am I going to tell him to do? I'd be like, all right, go to court. You're screwed. You shouldn't have been driving. Yeah, like, I don't know. But she knew her stuff. Like, she was throwing some stuff out. And she was like, oh, yeah, if you get, like, one of those ignition locks or something like that, this is what you do. This is what you do. You get a balloon, and before you get drunk, you blow it up with your, you know, you just blow it up. And then once you're drunk and you want to drive, you just put the balloon up to the ignition lock, and so it's the breathalyzer of your pre-drunk breath. And it's like, my God. Who are you? It was very impressive. Like, it was all scoundrel shit, but it was impressive. And at one point, and this is the funny part, like, at one point in the night, there was some chicks sitting in another booth, and these chicks looked like, if I say the word Russian ballet or Russian dancers, you probably have an image in your head of what the girls look like. That's what these chicks looked like. They looked ethnic, but they also looked like dancers. And we all were thinking it. I'm not just stereotyping or anything. Like, we were all stereotyping, and that makes it true. That's how stereotypes work. And so we were trying to convince a couple of the guys to go over there and ask them if they were dancers. But they were like, you know, we don't speak Russian. And so we started listing off the languages that we did know. Because one of my friends knows a bit of Spanish, and I'm like, well, you know, I guess I have French covered. I could probably make conversation. And so this girl looks over to me, and she's like, oh, parlez-vous français? And like, I panicked. Like, I mentally panicked. I froze. I'm like, shit. What? French? Do I know French? Do I know anything? Do I know parlez-vous? Shit. Like, I actually panicked. And it's like, I thought about it ever since I started learning French. I'm like, you know, what happens if somebody asks me if I speak French? You know, what do I say? What should I say? And so I always thought, okay, you know, I'll just say, like, you know, oui, un petit peu, just, you know, a little bit. That did not come into my head. I was panicking because I have this somewhat attractive girl sitting next to me, looking at me and expecting me to spout out some French, and I'm like, everything just froze up, and I'm like, shit. So finally I mustered out a oui. A oui. Like, shit, nah, I gotta follow it up with something. I need more French. Bring me words. Brain. And so I'm like, at two? Like, you know, just, God, that's so lame. And I even made it impersonal. I didn't even use the formal vous, even though she did. Oh, God, I'm breaking grammar rules. And, I think she said, like, we. I'm not even sure I would listen. I think she said we. And I'm just like, all right, abort. I can't handle this pressure. Just stop talking in French. And so I just, like, turned my head, and I'm like, oh, you know, he speaks Spanish. And so she starts, like, conversing with him in Spanish. And she knew more than he did. He doesn't really know that much. He just knows bits and pieces. But she knew more than him, and I'm like, damn. I misjudged this girl completely. She's multilingual. She knows some lawyer shit. My God. I mean, she's still kind of a tramp, but an impressive tramp nonetheless. That's shit. Oh my God, that's so... So, I don't know. She's, I would say she's kind of intimidating, personally. She's one of those girls that doesn't take shit from anybody, and we heard some kind of startling stories about her past, such as the fact that she broke her boyfriend at the time, knee with a baseball bat. As in, she got into an argument with her current then boyfriend, took a baseball bat, and shattered his knee with it. And she got the charge reduced to a domestic disturbance. Shattered a knee. So yeah, she might be kind of insane. And so that's a little intimidating. I mean, a girl that has like the fortitude to shatter someone's knee with a baseball bat. That's kind of what I'm saying. She also almost killed a girl by running her over with her car. On accident. That was not on purpose. The other one was on purpose. This one was on accident because this girl was apparently drunker than she was. She was drunk driving at the time. She was drunker than she was and stepped out in front of the car. And I think she might have been underage at the time, although I'm not entirely... No, actually, I don't think she was underage. But, yeah. So I think she got off that without any charge, but only because the other girl was drunker than she was. I don't know how that works, but okay. She's apparently had 2 DUIs, but had them both reduced to absolute sobriety, which I guess is like a Wisconsin-only thing. Wisconsin is pretty lenient on drinking and driving. I think it's like the most lenient state in the union. So, yeah. She's had some experience in her life. She also apparently has a sex tape with Machine Gun Kelly. I don't know if I mentioned that ever, but apparently she does. I have yet to find it. I don't know if it exists. And she also dated a guy named Anthony Pettis, who I guess is an MMA fighter, although I don't think he's really big leagues or anything. But I could be wrong. So, yeah, it was interesting to just... it's one of those girls that's like, alright, you know, I'll hang out with you all the time, but I don't think I would ever bring you home. It's one of those kind of girls. Yeah. So it was an interesting Applebee's trip, to say the least. So then Friday and Saturday I didn't go out at all. Like, well, actually, today, Saturday, and Friday, I really only left the house once to go get that heatsink. That was it. Oh, no, I guess I went to work on Friday, but I don't count that. Like, Friday, they went to a guy's house to hang out with, and I don't like him, so I just stayed in. And then Saturday, I was invited to go to a cookout again at the guy's house, but I had a bunch of food sitting here, so I was like, no, I'll skip the cookout. And so I had thought then, later on, after the cookout was done, I'd probably get an invite to wherever they're going. But then I also thought, if you don't go to, like, the first part of the event, you'll never get invited to the rest of the evening. Like, they'll just forget about you and they'll just move on. Like, that's usually how it works. People usually don't jump in later. So I guess I kind of knew I was forfeiting my Saturday night. But I thought, oh, maybe they'll say, oh, you know, we're heading to blah, blah, blah. Because we have a Facebook group chat. It is not like a cumbersome thing to invite people. So, yeah, I never heard anything on Saturday. And so then today comes, and I get up, and I'm like, well, I assume they'll tell me where we're going to brunch today. And so I get dressed, I get ready. It's like, 11:45, and I'm like, they have not told me where they're going to brunch. I'm pretty sure they're going to brunch, but they're not going to tell me. And the only way that I will know is if I ask. That is the only way I'll know. And I think this is where I kind of get passive-aggressive, where it's like, if you're not going to tell me, I'm not going to freaking ask. And it kind of runs in my family, where we do a lot of things just out of spite. So brunch came and went, and I sat here just watching Malcolm in the Middle. And then, it would normally be time for board game day. And I was like, if they're not going to bring it up, neither am I. Like, I'm going to do this out of spite. That just runs in my family. We commit to things. It's not always for the best. It's usually stupid, but we commit. So I'm like, alright, if they're not going to bring it up, neither am I. And so I just sat here and watched more Malcolm in the Middle. So, alright, I guess, if that's how it's got to be. I don't know if we're going to do anything this Wednesday. People are busy. And then next weekend, they're off at a wedding. They're off at a wedding for a guy. It was a guy I basically sat across from in grade school. I went to grade school for 8 years with this guy. And I didn't go to high school with him, but I don't think any of us went to high school with him. And then we hang out occasionally at bars and stuff like that. So I've known this guy for quite a while. He's getting married next weekend, and pretty much everyone I know as part of our friend group was invited. Just about everybody except for me, and I don't get it. I mean, I know I don't hang out with him as much, and I guess I'm kind of late to this friend group. I kind of joined in later, but still, it's kind of surprising. I don't really care because I don't like weddings. I mean, when you don't drink... If you don't drink, you don't really do anything at a wedding. Unless... Yeah, if you don't drink, you don't really do anything at a wedding. That's kind of what makes weddings happen. Because you're not going to dance sober. And if you're not dancing, what are you doing at a wedding? Like, you're just sitting there. And I guess you could talk to people, but the only people I would know, really, are the people I hang out with every single week. So, yeah, it wouldn't be a good time. So I'm okay with it. It's just kind of surprising. So yeah, so they're going to be gone all next weekend. So yeah, I'm just going to be sitting here watching shit and playing shit. And that's my life. That's my life. It's alright. It could be worse. At least I have a functioning computer. As long as I have a functioning computer, everything else is just, whatever. Alright, so yeah, I guess that wraps us up. I know I couldn't beat Ornstein and Smo. They are too tough pour moi. Trade dur. So roll manging tonight. More Shadowrun, more Deus Ex, BattleCon tomorrow, and yeah. Then we enter October. Very exciting. Very exciting for October. It's going to be great. Alright. So, my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg, and I will see you fine folks next week.